This is a video that supplements the guidance on step 12, entering the data to the trustees' annual report. Step 12 gives a simple overview, but now we're going to go into some detail showing how you actually do this, as it can be a complicated part of the process. The trustees' annual report is divided into various sections. The first section, reference administration details, should all be automated. There's not a great deal that you will need to enter there. You will see various cells that got ND in red. That means that there is hidden auto-hide information to the right here. Over here, you won't see it, but it's hidden. And if you deleted anything in this row, you would delete that auto-hide area. So you don't do that. You see there's guidance on how that actually works. The simple principle is do not delete anything in a row that has got ND in it. This is a cross-reference to where you can find the information that's gone into this particular part of the trustees' report. This first stage is all going to be automated, except for this, where you might have to enter some text about the trustees and their status. All this information will be automated. You will now have to enter details of the trustees in office during the year, and there are instructions there of how to do it. You will be asked, is that list the same as the list of people who were in office when the report was signed? Because that's a separate disclosure. If the answer to that is yes, then the list there will be used and a reference will be made in the report to the fact it was the same people. If on the other hand there were different people, you've got to give the information there. And this will tell you how you actually enter it. You may have to say whether or not at the annual general meeting certain trustees retire. Give the information there by editing the text. You might have corporate trustees, and you are required to disclose these. Again, corporate trustees during the year, corporate trustees in office when the accounts are signed. Dealt with in exactly the same way as ordinary trustees. Custodian trustees are people who hold assets on behalf of the charity. For example, an unincorporated charity may have their freehold property in the name of custodian trustees. Same principle, those who were in office during the year and those who were in office at the date the accounts were approved. You then have certain other sections of the trustees' report which are subdivided into two sections. One is a section that applies to all charities, and another is a section that only applies to large charities. This first part is compulsory for all charities, both small and large. You've then got to give details of the purposes of the charity as set out in its governing document. You enter free text there. The main activities taken in relation to those purposes and activities. Activities taken for the public benefit. This is a compulsory disclosure in England and Wales and in Northern Ireland. The second part of this section is only compulsory for larger charities. You must enter it into this trustees' report if you are a large charity. If you are a smaller charity, you have the choice whether or not to enter information into that particular part. Strategies for achieving aims and objectives for compulsory for larger charities. How the activities undertaken during the year contribute to the achievement of the aims and objectives. Resources used, social investment policies. With all of these, you enter free text in this area. Contribution of volunteers. Now, even with smaller charities, it might be a good idea to include that, just simply from a morale point of view. grant-making policies. Give details of how you decide how to give grants and so on. Next section, section F, again broken down to two parts, compulsory for all charities, then voluntary for smaller charities. In the compulsory part of this section, the main achievements and performance, free text. Fundraising activities, free text. The difference that the charity is going to make to society, free text. Compulsory for all charities. We now come on to the second part of this particular section, which is voluntary for smaller charities but compulsory for larger ones. The significant activities undertaken during the year. How the achievements in the year measure up, and so on. We go through a number of sections with that similar kind of structure. Section G, which is structure, governance, management. Two parts, compulsory and voluntary. Financial section, again compulsory and voluntary. Details of reserves and so on, that's all compulsory. Financial review, compulsory. Policies on reserves, compulsory. If it's a going concern or not, compulsory. Availability and adequacy of funds, funds in deficit, all compulsory. Then you come on to the non-compulsory part. Sorry, to the part that's voluntary for small charities and compulsory for large charities. Plans for the future, all compulsory for large charities, entirely voluntary for small charities. You've then got to give details of any funds that this particular charity holds as custodian trustees on behalf of others. That's the reverse of the one we looked at before. Any other useful information can be given in this section, free text. This is a Companies Act disclosure requirement if you have more than 250 employees, employment of disabled persons. Again, a Companies Act requirement, and guidance is given there. Whether it's subject to independent examination or audit, details are given there. They will be picked up from the answers you've already given. Statements of information disclosed to auditors only compulsory in the case of audits, and it will be deleted and auto-hidden if this is not an audit. Statements of responsibilities, that is worded to comply with the particular type of charity that you're dealing with. And then the method of preparing accounts, which is compulsory for companies. And section Q, which is compulsory for all charities, the signing information. The trustees' report is a long document and can appear daunting to trustees, but we have attempted to break this down into little chunks, and if you follow the instructions and the guidance that is shown there, it should become a simple task. That's the end.